So, good morning, everybody, and I am Stephen. This is our very first ever Soul Man and Friends surgery, streamed live across our social media platforms. If you are watching, do say hello. We're going to be doing this Monday to Friday, and we're going to have different guests on every day, helping you guys with wellness tips. And today we have on our very lovely Susan Watson from Perfect Solutions Coaching. So I'm going to bring Susan on right now.
Hello there.
Hello!
Hi, Stephen.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Freezing cold in my little office, but I'm good. I'm glad to be here, thank you.
Brilliant. I know that we've been chatting for the last 15 minutes about all different things, Susan.
Yes.
We'll not share what we've been talking about the last 15 minutes. But today we are talking to Susan about ways to manage stress. And you guys, you can participate by asking questions. We'll pop your questions up on the screen and Susan can answer your questions. But mainly what we want to speak about today is ways to manage stress. So this lady, I tell you, she knows her stuff.
Thank you.
And if you were lucky enough to be part of the Soul Man Surgeries before, you'll know some of the strategies that Susan had put in place there to really help. So before we get started, here is Susan's little introduction. So Susan, hello.
I had to laugh at that photograph because every time I see it, it reminds me of the boy in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know why, it just does.
I think we'll call you that from now on then. Right, Charlie. So, stress. What is stress?
Stress is really energy. But what it is it's different from anxiety because stress is a release of hormones, a mixture of hormones into our body relating to the situation we're in at the moment. So stress is in the present, what we're dealing with. So it could be work, family, feeling overpressured, all different situations can make us feel under this pressure, which releases hormones into our body, which increases our stress levels. Stress is good to a certain degree. We need stress to get moving, to be focused, to be motivated. But when it becomes too much and the levels of stress are too high, we go into what I call toxic stress, which is then it starts to be harmful for us. So there's a few things about stress that are really important to be aware of, or to be aware of the signs and what you're feeling in your body. But also to have a look at your life, how you're living, what you're doing, the pressures that you have, and sort of do like a personal stress assessment, if you like. Have a look at what causes you the most pressure, what causes you the least, and see if there's changes that you can make in your life so that perhaps there's tasks that you're doing that aren't urgent, that you can take off that list, what you're doing in your life. Perhaps you're spreading yourself too thin. And you know what? In the world that we're living in just now, the lockdown and all the rest of it, we're all under quite a lot of pressure and stress. Loneliness, feeling isolated can cause us to feel stressed. What about all these home workers now? People who are working from home to stay safe. They may feel isolated in the workplace. So there's a lot more things that are actually going on. But I want to share with you 3 little tips that I would give for managing stress. Is that all right?
Fabulous. Go for it.
First thing is touching on being under too much pressure and spreading yourself too thin. Try and be your own number one. So I understand that you're saying I'm working from home, I'm meant to be schooling the kids, I'm doing all this stuff. And there's a lot of pressure there, and there really is. but try and have a look at what can be reduced. Remember and do things for your own well-being. You have to look after yourself first to be able to do your best for other people. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just think of yourself and be your own priority. Another thing that I would say is speak up, talk about it, particularly people who are working from home. It's important not to feel that that support system isn't there in the workplace. And I would say if you feel under extra pressure or stress, speak to your manager, speak to your workplace, because there is likely adjustments that can be made to help you with that. And you know what? If you speak up, maybe there's other people who are feeling the same. And the more people can speak about it, the more support and help that people can get. Because I think you'd probably be surprised. You're not alone in feeling like this. Just about everybody else will be feeling stressed as well. And sometimes it can just take one person to speak up and say, do you know what? This is how I'm feeling. Then other people will feel safe to join in. And self-regulation. Anyone who's heard me talk before, I go on about self-regulation. And that's actually ways and methods that you can have to reduce your stress, to feel healthy, to stay calm, and actually feel balanced and back in control. And the likelihood is I'll be mentioning things on this chat about that, because I promote that all the time.
Self-regulation is one of the most important things, isn't it? And it's certainly something that I've learned massively since working with you, Susan. One of those is the wet noodle. And we need to talk about the wet noodle, because the wet noodle is just the best way of managing acute stress, isn't it?
I was going to bring up the wet noodle because that's one of my favourite things. It makes me laugh.
Let's talk about it, because the wet noodle, it does sound a bit rude, you know. We've spoken about this before when Susan says to one of her clients, "Show me your wet noodle." It doesn't sound the greatest, does it?
Well, it's probably not very good, but as I say to people, I burst out laughing.
Yeah. So talk to us. What is the wet noodle?
Right. What I'm going to say is when we get overly stressed and we go into what I call toxic stress, which means that we've got all these hormones pumping into our body and we're really starting to get angry and anxious and worried. What we can do is we want to dial down the stress levels. And one of the things we can do is the wet noodle. So what I'm going to say is all you do is, the best way to describe it is think of a plate of pasta that's been cooked and you pick it up in your hands and you drop it and it just goes splosh. So what I ask people to do is just totally flop. Just flop and feel it and completely relax every muscle in your body. That's right, Stephen. Stephen is now wet noodling.
Every one of you, though, watching, do this. Honestly, do it. Wherever you are right now, just flop in your seat. Whole body floppy. Legs, arms, everything.
Yeah, absolutely, just let it all go. I mean, I can make it quite dramatic, and we've in the Soul Man once we've done it, and we're all lying on the floor, flopping all over the place. But what you're actually doing is you're relaxing every muscle in your body, which switches off stress, switches off anger, anxiety, and worry, because you can't feel like that in a relaxed body. So the minute you do that, you dial yourself down to well-being, and it takes 1 minute. 1 minute. It's great.
And it's really good to do with kids as well. I've been doing it with my kids as well, you know, especially little Noah, who gets himself really stressed in certain situations. You know, it's like, come on, show me your wet noodle. And he goes, oh. And he actually does it on the floor now. He jumps down onto the floor and lies down on the floor, and it just helps him.
Yeah. I say to people to do it in the family. So it's not just you if you're feeling stressed, get everybody to do it, because the chances are everybody in your family is feeling stressed anyway.
Yeah. Certainly right now, I think there's a lot of families feeling stressed with parents having to homeschool and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So what would your tips be on right now, when everybody's in that situation where they're all under one roof, we're trying to work in the same house, we're trying to school in the same house.
I would say remember that it's extraordinary times that we're living in.
Yeah.
And that all these parents who are trying to do home teaching, home studies, you're not trained teachers. You can only do the best you can. And don't take it on yourself to think that you have got to be this educator, because you're not. You're just trying to maintain a level for the kids. So don't put that pressure on you. And why not take time out every 10 minutes to shout wet noodle and let everybody just flop, you and the kids. Whether you're working, whether you're with the kids, whatever you're doing, because every time you do it, you're reducing your stress level.
Yeah. And in a way, if you really think about it, wet noodle is really a form of mindfulness, isn't it?
Well, it's because I guess it's you're switching everything off, really.
Yeah.
It's like just dialing everything down up to a zero for that minute and letting things pass. Yeah.
I know that using the wet noodle, and I'm sure that many of you who have tried this technique and used this technique would agree with me, where simple situations in life, like going through your everyday life, and through your day, there may be, I don't know, say 10 to 20 really stressful situations, and you feel yourself going, "Whoa." And even I get like that, we all do as humans.
Yeah.
And when I feel myself getting like that, I wet noodle, even like standing. The other day we were standing in the queue in Asda, and Asda was really, really, really busy. It was quite stressful. There was lots of people standing waiting, and I felt myself. I could feel my shoulders up. I could feel my forehead like this. So just doing that wet noodle standing as well, just allowing your shoulders to drop, it makes the biggest difference.
If you squeeze your fist as tight as you can and curl your toes up as tight as you can, and really hold them all tense for 5 seconds, and then just release them, and you'll actually feel the tension come out your body as well.
Doing that now, I can actually feel that, yeah.
And you can do that anywhere, nobody would know you're doing it.
Yeah.
So that works quite well. It's great for kids as well.
Yeah. So moving on from the wet noodle, Susan, what other kind of hints and tips could people use, if they're not using the wet noodle?
We talk about all the time how important it is for breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're extraordinarily stressed or anxious, your thinking brain shuts off. So this is why I keep everything really simple. And especially if you think that you're doing home learning with kids, if kids are stressed or parents are stressed, they actually can't think straight. You just can't think clear. So you need to reduce the stress for your brain to come back on. But for breathing, I like that one. Can you see that? Hands behind your head, push your elbows back. What it does is it opens your ribs up, and it allows you to do belly breathing without really having to think or counting or anything like that. It just does it automatically. And the minute you do that and your breathing's back to normal, it brings down stress levels, anxiety, panic, all these sort of things. And that's the most simplest thing.
Very simply by doing that.
And push your elbows back. Because what it does is it opens your rib cage.
It's actually nice stretches.
But it opens up. It means you're automatically just doing belly breathing without really having to think about it. Because a lot of the breathing techniques are like, I don't know, breathe in through your nose for 4 and out for 6. So you're having to count. But this way you're not having to count, because the counting comes quite complicated if you've not got a thinking brain to actually use.
I think that's gold, actually, because a lot of people, they need to be aware of their breath, and it's sometimes really hard when they're like, "Wah!" Their head's going.
Most people I see who come to see me, and I'll say, "You've heard of breathing techniques?" And they'll say, "Yes." And I'll say, "How do you get on with them?" "I can't." And it's because when they're in that state of panic, you can't really think. And it makes them, they think it's a distraction, but it's not. Breathing's not a distraction. It's actually changing how your body's functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important.
Any other tips on breathing?
Do the hand breathing for kids. That can sometimes help because it's got a focus and attention. So I don't know if you can see my hand because my camera keeps going funny. There it is. Try to find it. You go breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So you're actually following with your breath as you're doing it. And that can be really helpful, particularly if people are getting a bit panicky or with children, because it gives them something to focus on. So you've got a visual there. And that can be really helpful. And if somebody is getting a bit panicky, you can just say, look at my hand, keep your focus, watch my hand, and then get them to do the breathing in and out. And
That's
that
definitely a technique that works so well with children. When I'm in the schools doing the meditation in the schools with the kids, that's how we start breathing in, breathing out, and the kids love it.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good way of just having them focused on their breath. So,
and you don't have to wait until all these things can be used to keep you maintaining a healthy balance. You don't have to wait until things are starting to go wrong. You should be doing that as part of your daily life so you actually feel really well and in control all the time.
Yeah. I always say that to people, we can't control the outward world, the world that's going on around us, but we can control one thing, and that's our breath.
Yeah.
Can't control your heartbeat, you can't control anything, but controlling your breath regulates everything. So,
starting the day as well with the intentions to have a good day. So if you think as well, I always say, well, I don't always say, but I've got on my YouTube channel about how you get up and your mindset and how you're holding your body influences how your day is going to be. So how you hold your body influences your stress levels and your mood as well. So try and stand tall and stretch. And I do a thing that's called the power stand. So it's like lifting your hands up and pressing them as high as you can, stretching your whole body. And then you lift your head and really stretch your neck up. Because what you're doing is it's almost like resetting your body, if you like, and it changes your mindset. And that's really important. Because when we're a bit fed up and stressed and down in the dumps, we sort of slump. I'm sure it's a yoga pose, actually. I call it the power stance, but I'm sure it is a yoga pose. And it's almost like preparing yourself. It just fell out. Preparing yourself positively for the day ahead. And that's a really good thing.
yeah.
Another thing is put a good tune on, one that really lifts your spirit and dance about like crazy for 5 minutes. You know what? The kids will love that too. And everybody, it lifts you, it releases positive hormones and endorphins into your body. Just go mad, just dance like a crazy person. That's what I like. I'll shut the curtains though. Because I can't dance.
So nobody can see you.
All these things are really useful and really helpful.
Yeah. I think starting your day like that, it's really easy to fall into that starting your day where, I've got emails to answer, I've got the kids to get ready, I've got, everything to do, and you can beat yourself up emotionally, can't you? So I think starting the day with that changes it, doesn't it?
Just take that moment to just have that calm time for you to do whatever it is, what works for you, because it's finding what's right for you. Not all these things will be what you want to do, but take that time to start your day off right, and remember and get out and get some fresh air. This educating kids doesn't have to be sitting in the house. You can go a walk, do a nature walk. So good for you and for them to get out the house and get some nature and some daylight. Actually, some natural light is really helpful as well.
And I wanted to ask you as well about, we were speaking about it a minute ago and I've completely forgot what I was going to say. How bad is that?
I have no idea, Stephen.
Yeah, the music thing, the vibration of music. So, when we get up in the morning, I remember waking up in the morning. I remember my mum and dad getting me up in the morning, like, come on, get up for school, move, up, come on, get up. And it was stressful, it was stressful before your day even started. And I was
like that as well. That's the kind of mum I was. I was a morning monster. My kids used to call me that because I was trying to get them ready for school. I was trying to see the dogs, get the housework done, and I used to feel so stressed, and all I used to do was shout. It's exactly what I was like. If only I knew then what I know now, my life and their lives would have been so different.
Yeah. I remember staying at my granny's, and I used to stay at my granny's every weekend. And my granddad would get up in the morning and he would pop on the wireless, as he called it. He'd be downstairs and he'd be cooking the breakfast, burnt sausages, it always was. So you would have the aroma of sausages waking you up, as well as the radio. And my granny used to put on Engelbert Humperdinck in the morning, and it was always those Spanish eyes, you know, that song that you'd shared there.
I do.
And I remember waking up at my granny's feeling stress free because the environment was really different when you were waking up in the morning. So it's something that, you know, from the last Man Surgeries that we've done, it really made me think, how do I wake my children up in the morning? And it is, come on, get up, move, you're going to be late. You're going to be late. Whereas now, what I do is I put some of Noah's favourite music on, and that's how he wakes up every morning, and it's totally different.
It's lovely, eh? It is.
Yeah.
If every parent, right, wants to get up and be the kind, gentle parent that's got the calm life and all the rest of it. We'll say, I know I've done it. I would say, like, I'm going to get up this morning. I'm not going to shout. I'm going to be nice and calm. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to sit and talk to the kids, and everyone's going to be fine. Within 2 minutes, I'd be screaming and shouting at them, and it's just because I wasn't looking after my own stress. That's what it was. And then I'd feel really guilty and really bad. Why did I do that? Why did I shout at them? Why did I say that? But it's just your natural instinct. You can't stop it once you're in that toxic stress zone, because when your stress levels get that high, it's actually absolutely expected and natural to be angry and defensive and all these things. You can't help it. So the key is to actually keep your stress low. And then you'll be a happier parent, because we'll feel guilty about shouting at the kids and think, what did we do that for? And the things that we've maybe said to partners or friends or whatever, just when we get in that way of thinking. So managing your stress, it can actually change your whole world, actually, in your relationships with everyone.
It's the only time in the morning where Nikki and I will fall out. Because I'm like, come on, get out, I'm going to be late for work. And the kids are, and she's moaning at me, and then it's just crazy if you allow it to be that way. Yeah. So I think changing it by changing that from the very beginning of your morning, changing it with music and changing it with, you know, positive things makes a big difference, doesn't it?
What I found helpful for me as well, particularly when I wasn't doing this line of work, when I used to work in financial services, I used to just take 5 minutes in my bed when I was awake before I got up. And I used to just sort of, it was almost like doing the wet noodle, relaxing myself and breathing. But I then add on visualization to that. Mm-hmm. And I was visualizing how I want the day to go. So instead of walking into my work and going, because that's how I used to feel a lot, I used to make a point of smiling and saying good morning to people. Because just by doing that, I'm changing my mindset automatically. And that used to really help as well.
And changing their mindset as well. You know, I something I was always very mindful of before I ran the Soul Man and Friends, and that was when I was going to work and when I was working with teams of people, if I went in like that morning monster, everybody was unproductive because they would all be like, what's wrong with his face today?
Yeah.
You know, it totally drags your whole team down, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it can only take one person, really, if you're not self-regulating. We sort of tend to blame other people for how we're feeling. Like it could be like my husband's getting on my nerves, or my kids, or I've got work, or I've got this. But all these things wouldn't impact you to that level that they do of stress if we actually all self-regulated throughout the day. And that's why I say things like wet noodle, do it 200 times a day. And people go, oh no, 200 times a day. But if you think it only takes a second, you're only talking about 200 seconds. You're actually introducing it into your lifestyle so that you continue to just relax all your body. So you're pulling yourself all the time, all day out of these stress levels. And then, so when things do get pressured, they don't have the same impact on you. They don't make you feel so stressed because you're actually keeping yourself in that balance. That's really important.
Absolutely, it really is. We're almost at 10 o'clock as well, so I think we'll open the floor to questions, Susan. So, does anybody have any questions for Susan on how you can manage stress? And we have got people watching from YouTube and from our Facebook page. So feel free, whatever platform you are following this on, feel free to ask the questions in the comment section below. And we will pop them up and we will answer them to the best of our ability, or to Susan's ability, because I'm just the facilitator. I'm just the wee host.
Drop me in it, Stephen. Drop me in it. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
See that tumbleweed flying across the screen there?
Well, I can keep talking until we see any questions coming in. I can talk about some other stuff.
Go for it.
Another thing that you can do, I usually add it onto the wet noodles, so when you're relaxing your body, is, you've heard me talk about doing the scan from your head to your toes.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling quite tense, what I would do is count back from 10 to 1. So starting at my head, and I'm imagining a scan coming all the way down my body. So I'll just do it just now with you. Just if you close your eyes, anyone listening, and just imagine this is coming from your head to your toes. 10, 9, 8. You're just relaxing. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And all you do is just let yourself relax even more. I can hear a funny noise, Stephen.
It's coming for your end.
Is it?
Aye. I don't know what that is. All right, though.
I think it stopped now.
Does anybody else watching feel really...
Let's work. Let's work.
I certainly feel really chilled.
So laying your hands on your body.
Say that again?
Like we think stress, anxiety, and everything's all in our mind because we get the repetitive thoughts. But in fact, the way to calm your mind down is in your body.
Yeah.
So I said, put a hand on your chest and a hand on your stomach, and just relax and just focus your attention on what it feels like to have your hand on your chest and your stomach. So you think of the sensations, the warmth, anything like that, and it actually starts to make you feel safe, actually, comforted. It's like giving yourself a cuddle.
I think we've spoke about this before, the whole body scan thing. You know, when I'm doing meditation, and certainly working with my meditation teachers, we do a body scan, but it's in much more detail. That's a really good way of just pulling you down very quickly, isn't it?
It's good for if you wake up middle of the night and you're trying to get back to sleep. And what you can do is just do that wet noodle, relax all your body, and then do that scan. And if you do it for your head to your toes, and then if you think for your toes back up to your head, by the time you get there, you're sleeping.
Yeah. Diane Dewar's saying there as well, a countdown always calms her down. Yeah. Claire, our lovely Claire, is totally chilled right now.
That's good.
Emma had said a minute ago as well that the morning monster, she was talking about the morning monster there and saying, thank you for being honest, Susan.
I was the biggest monster ever. My kids, I mean, even now, I mean, my kids are obviously adult, over 40, over 40, and one just approaching 40, and the three of them still remember Morning Monster because they had me for years, and all I did was scream and shout at them. And I know I did, but I didn't know any better. I was just trying to cope because I was stressed to the max all the time, but I didn't even know that. I thought that I didn't know any better. That's the only way to say it. I just didn't.
And there's obviously, we're not medical people, so we can't go into great detail with this. But stress, when it's not dealt with, it can cause physical problems as well, can't it?
What happens is we've all got the stress. If you think that's stress coming up, and that's good stress. When we start to go over here, past that, we go into what's called toxic stress. And what happens there is our sympathetic nervous system can become dominant. And that's when it becomes a problem. Because if you live in constant toxic stress, we'll all go in and out of everyone else. But if you're actually living constantly in toxic stress, you'll start to have really bad anxiety. You won't have like brain fog, you won't be able to think clearly. You'll be angry, you'll be on edge all the time, you'll be negative because you'll be thinking there's a perceived threat there all the time. But what happens is when you live like that, is some of your organs start to close down because there's organs that we don't need if we're in survival mode, like our digestive system. So people might start getting stomach problems.
Yeah.
Because when you go into that toxic stress, you're going into fight or flight, which is you want your energy to either run away or the strength to punch somebody's face in, basically, to put it politely. So you don't, all your energy and all your blood goes to these major muscles. You're not going to have a meal when you feel like that, so your digestive system. And it can also impact your reproductive organs and things like that. Blood flows from the extremities, the blood flows away from your hands and flows away from your feet because it's going to all your major muscles. So it's important to look after yourself and manage your stress because potentially, if you live in toxic stress all the time, you will start to feel unwell without a doubt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a question here. Hazel Gardner, I had an incident recently that turned out to be a really bad anxiety attack. This happened in November and came totally out of the blue. I didn't think I was stressed. Is it normal to take a long time to get over these? It lasted a good while and I ended up at the doctor's because I thought something was really wrong. Feel like I'm still trying to get over it.
What happens, Hazel, is if you think that we have two parts of our mind, we've got our unconscious mind, which makes your hair grow, your heart beat, and deals with all your fear and thoughts. What tends to happen is, especially, I'll start from the beginning with stress. Sometimes we're not aware that we're stressed. And the reason for that is because if we've lived like that for quite a long time, it almost just feels like how we are. So we're not aware of what it's like in our body. We might have a sore neck or we might have tense shoulders, but we're not realizing that's related to stress. And if we go into the toxic stress and we have an anxiety attack, and I have to say that when you're in a toxic stress area, an anxiety attack is perfectly expected. People who are living like that will have anxiety and will have anger, and that is natural for our bodies to react that way when we're under that kind of pressure. If we then worry about it because you've experienced anxiety and now it's in your mind and you're thinking about it, what you're actually doing is inadvertently you can feed that anxiety. Because if you're worried about, why have I got anxiety? Am I going to have this again? Is it going to happen? Is this how I'm going to feel going forward? All of that is feeding that gremlin, feeling that anxiety demons. Does that make sense? So it depends. If you can learn how to self-regulate and pull yourself out that toxic stress, you won't continue to have that anxiety. It's all about self-regulation, but also recognizing the kind of thoughts that you're having. I used to have really bad anxiety. I had it for a long, long time. And the thoughts that I had, I actually, Even now, I get the little voice in my head. I just literally put my hands up and I just say, stop. I just say, stop, I'm not having that. That's not right. And then I replace it. So if I feel myself getting anxious, and it's more a social anxiety I had. So if it's saying, you can't go on that and be live streamed with Stephen because everybody's going to laugh at you and you're going to make a fool of yourself. Because that's the kind of thing my voice would say. I would just say, stop. I'm not going to be the best. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to laugh when I'm not meant to laugh. Or I'm going to stutter sometimes. So what? Do you know what? I'm going to go on and I'm going to share what I have because I'm not perfect and there's no other person that's perfect. So it's changing the story as well that you tell yourself. It's rewriting that recording that's in your head. And that's really important because your mind believes everything you tell yourself. So if you focus on being anxious and worried all the time, you will be anxious and worried all the time. Does that help?
Yeah, but Hazel, let us know if that's helped. Is it normal, though, Susan, for people to if they've had that, and I can certainly relate to what Hazel's saying because I thought I was okay for a really long time, and then I had this complete meltdown that came out of the blue, and it was this horrendous anxiety panic attack.
Anxiety is normal. If it's not anxiety is a normal reaction. Every single human being will experience anxiety. All of us. We'll all go in and out of that all the time. It only becomes an issue when you live in that constant state of anxiety. And that's when you've got to practice all that self-regulation because that will pull you back out it. The self-regulation is the key to no longer having that experience anxiety.
Most definitely. I know personally from myself, I 2 years ago went through a really stressful situation, leaving my old business and all of that, and I had this horrible, horrible, horrible panic attack, and it came out of the blue. I did not expect it in the slightest at all. I actually thought I was having a heart attack, and even now, I am terrified of that happening again. So I'm always kind of expecting it, I suppose, in a way.
So what are you doing then by doing that? What are you doing to your mind and body? You are perceiving that there is a threat there.
Yeah.
And a threat that isn't actually really there, but in your mind, you're believing that's threat there. So you're automatically increasing your stress levels by believing that you're under threat.
Yeah. Certainly working with yourself, because I'm speaking about my experiences over that period of time, but certainly working with yourself when we were in your office in Kirkliston, that was one of the big things that came out, and it was the one thing that it had become so normal and so much a part of my daily life, expecting that anxiety to come back when you'd asked, what is it that's really getting, like, think of one thing. And it was that, it came at the forefront of my mind, and I was like, wow. And those hints and tips that you gave me to help me deal with that stress or the thinking about it, they're completely gone now just by self-regulating.
I mean, what I share with people isn't something I've just read out a textbook. This is something I've lived through myself. From childhood right up into my 40s, I didn't have a label for it, so I didn't say stress or anxiety. I just thought there was something wrong with me. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was made wrong and I didn't fit into the world, and this is just how I was made. And it wasn't until I got to a point when I thought, I can't continue this way. I need to find a way out of this. And I started looking for that. And I actually started working on myself. I thought, wait a minute, this isn't how you need to live your life, and I can change it. And I did. My life is so different now. And I guess that's why I really got into this line of work, because I want people to know who are experiencing this. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You're not made wrong. It really isn't. It's just that you need to learn how to actually be able to change it inside you, because it's not outside you, it's inside you. And it's learning these skills to make the difference that can actually really change your life. But that's a really important message, because what I believed truly believed is that I was made wrong and there was something wrong with me. And I'm sure there's people that potentially could be watching this that might be thinking the same, and it's not the case. It really isn't. So that's me off my soapbox now.
No, I think what you're saying is right, though, Susan. I think every single person on the planet, we all have that to a degree, don't we? You know, we all think, we compare ourselves to other people. We look at what other people are doing. Why are they successful? How can they manage to homeschool their kids? When I'm like, you little shits. You know?
Yeah. And it is, because I think that was the part of what you feed your own anxiety in that with. Because I know with me, I was doing things like that I can't go out because everybody's watching me. I'm really stupid, comparing myself to other people. Everyone was better looking, slimmer, more intelligent. And I just kept pushing myself right down that ladder. So in fact, you know what? Did I really deserve to exist, sort of thing? Because I was just like nothing in my own eyes. And changing that perception and realizing, do you know that every single person watching this absolutely is more than enough, and all you need to do is live your best life and not give a, I'm going to swear here, nearly pulled it back in time, not give a damn about other people, just be happy with who you are. I did nearly let it slip, but I stopped myself.
A 30-second delay, so I'll just mute her for a second. That's amazing, Susan. Thank you. I'm just going to jump to the comments. Diane Dewer's saying there that she loves the stop advice and she's really going to use that. Paige said that you really helped her with your short session and that you went you went above and beyond, sorry, for me, Susan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hazel Gardner says, yes, I am so scared that I'm going to have another attack again. I thought I was having a heart attack or a stroke. Also, I've had to go to a chiropractor and she said my back and hips are out of alignment, which has been causing me additional physical stresses, making life changes now to help me going forward. Yeah. That's amazing, Hazel. Well done for making those changes.
Yeah.
First of all,
try and do this wet noodling stuff, Hazel. Have a look at my YouTube site. There's loads and loads, about 50 different videos on how to self-regulate and do things to actually relieve stress. And they're all free, so they're there for you to use.
And what is your YouTube again, Susan? It's
Perfect Solutions Coaching.
Perfect Solutions Coaching. I'll just pop that up so everybody can see.
Yeah, and I deliberately put them up because I'm a big believer in the best way to move forward and live a calmer life is for people to know that they've got to do it themselves. I mean, even people that come to see me for one-to-one sessions, I make that quite clear to people that I don't have the magic wand or any magic power. That, and I know we've argued this, well, not argued, a wee bit disagreement, that people heal themselves. That you do. All I do is show you how to do it. And once you know how to do it, you do all that magic yourself.
A healer is someone who helps someone to facilitate healing within their own well-being or their own physical being. So you are a healer.
Well, I'll just leave that one there. Yeah, but you can't do it yourself.
Anybody have any other questions that they want to ask Susan? Because, you know, we've got Susan here twice a week. We've got her here on a Monday and a Friday for the next couple of weeks. So even if you can't think of anything that you can think of right now, you can think of something for Friday.
I mean, I don't just work with anxiety. I work with quite a lot of different things. I know that today's about stress, but I work with trauma, emotions, grief, loss. I work with a lot of different things.
So, I want to talk about that actually, because as Susan obviously works with us at the Soul Man and Friends, she does her clinics 3 Fridays a month. But what Susan also has a new role within the Soul Man and Friends, which is absolutely amazing. And we're very mindful of the fact that when we're working with people, sometimes people need more. Sometimes people, they'll come in and they're grieving and they want a message from their loved one, and sometimes it's not the right time for that person to have a message. Sometimes the trauma that loved one's passing has been so difficult that person, they're seeking answers and we can't give them those answers. So Susan and I were working together yesterday and we've came up with this fantastic new role for Susan at the Soul Man and Friends, which is Susan is going to be our bereavement and what did we say the role was? Bereavement and...
Grief and bereavement counsellor.
Grief and bereavement counsellor. So anybody who's coming into the shop, who we feel that they need more, we will pass them on to Susan, and Susan will be doing free sessions with anybody who needs grief and bereavement counselling. And it's just part of our plan to have that backup and have that aftercare for people who are coming into the shop that are quite vulnerable. So Susan, I want to say a huge big thank you to you for that. I know that our whole team are absolutely delighted that we've got that now, and that we've got that ability to be able to, pass people on to you that really need more help and more support. So,
and I think when just knowing that there's somebody there that when they really need that they can go and just talk about how they're really feeling, their emotions and their thoughts without any judgment, because you get a multitude of different emotions coming up. And you know what? It's not a money maker for me. I'm offering that session for free, and it is genuinely to help people who in that moment just need somebody to be there, really.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful. So I'm trying to coach who's been at the shop 5 days a week, and she's like, "It's off! No. 5 days a week, you can away and run up your ribs." She actually never. I'm sure you said a sweary word to me, Susan.
Yeah. I probably did, because I do swear quite a lot. I'm trying hard not to swear on here live. So unlike me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Diane there is saying that's fantastic to know that service is there. Well done, guys. Thank you very much, Diane. Like I say, we are trying to just get her in every day, 5 days a week. She could be our team counsellor as well. She could be counselling and helping the team as well.
I mean, grief, we're just going to touch on grief a little minute. I mean, it's not just about bereavement and losing somebody who's died. It can be about your dreams, what you've hoped your life would be like. It can be people who, for instance, their plans for children that might not be panning out. They might not have a family. It can be, let's say, a job or relationships. I mean, grief comes for a lot of different situations, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm there to help with all these situations. It's not just someone who's been bereaved through a death.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Bereavement. It brings in a whole host of things, doesn't it? It's not just the loss of someone.
No.
Diane saying there that she lost her husband last year, and some days she just wants to shut the world out. I feel like I can't organise anything in my life.
Diane, I've got a Facebook page that I put up information at the moment to help people who are moving on and coping with grief and loss. And it has lots of nice, gentle things that you can do for yourself. I don't know if you've got a note of that, Stephen, what it's called.
Take a note of it right now.
Well, I'm just looking up this. I want to get the name exactly right for you. It is Healing a Broken Heart.
Healing a Broken Heart. And it's a Facebook page, or is it a Facebook group?
It's a page. It's not interactive as such. People could message me if they wanted to privately, but what I do is I put lots of information up on this page.
Brilliant. So I've just popped that up there.
Yeah.
Healing a Broken Heart Facebook page.
And I've had quite a few people message me saying how helpful has been for them.
I think that's nice though if it's not interactive as well, because some people feel that that they're less inclined to share things in a group setting.
They can just sit in the background and just read it and just see if there's anything that they want to try or incorporate into their lives.
Yeah. Well, Diane saying thank you, Susan. Just admitting this makes me cry.
Well, it's a good thing that you've shared this, Diane, because honestly, even sharing it is part of your healing process. It really is. So thank you for sharing it. And that will have helped other people who are potentially watching this as well.
Yeah.
I'm meant to be on Teams.
You got to watch
You know that thing that we said about managing stress? You little shit.
Flop like a wet noodle, Stephen. Oh, that's just made my day.
Did you hear him? I'm meant to be on Teams.
It's not waking up.
Right. Daddy's working. Good boy. I put a Disney movie on for them. Just hasn't worked today. Nikki's working. She's away. She does COVID testing, so she's doing that.
You know what, Stephen? Every parent watching this will connect to that, and it'll be so funny.
That's funny. No, Noah has no filter though. He just comes in and says what he wants to say. So yeah. So Diane, I do apologise that my child ran in for a second there, but I think that's an amazing thing to share. I think thank you very much for being so honest and sharing that with everybody. I certainly feel the emotion behind your message there, so thank you for being so open and honest and sharing. There's Hazel Gardner having a wee laugh at me when my children running in.
Yeah.
I'm the supply teacher today, though. I just don't know how to work Teams.
Yeah, you put TV on. Teams is easy. Teams is just like Zoom.
Well, we're going to watch Blue Planet. I think Blue Planet's a great educational program for them.
Yeah.
Diane, your wee boy made us all laugh. Thank you for that, Diane. I'm glad that he made you laugh. That's the main thing. As long as you've had a good laugh with that. So anybody else got anything that they want to ask Susan? Susan, we've got 5 minutes left, so 1 wee second. I'm just going to grab my kids a second, Susan, to just
left me in charge. So I'm just going to reiterate to have a look at the Facebook page if anybody wants to look for methods to stay calm and live a sort of happier life actually and be more comfortable with yourself. There's loads of things on the Facebook page. And if anyone's going through any loss or anything like that at all, the Healing a Broken Heart Facebook page is really helpful. It's talking about grief, it's talking about loss, but in a positive way. And it's talking about healing and mourning and moving on actually with hope for the future and meaning for the future. And it's a non-judgmental page, so it's not saying that anyone has to feel a certain way, because everybody experiences their grief in their own way. It's very individual. But it's definitely promoting healing as much as possible with love, healing with love. And if anybody does go on that page and have a look at it and you have any questions, you can message me at any time. Right.
I'm back. Sorry, they were fighting.
That's all right.
Could you hear them fighting?
No, I couldn't.
Oh, I was like, guys, come on, show me your wet noodles. And Noah told me to F off. Anyway. So what did I miss there, Susan? Sorry, were you just explaining
I was just talking about the Healing a Broken Heart page and the YouTube. I was just saying about the help that you can get there and the information that was there. Just filling a 5-minute gap on your live streaming, Stephen.
we were speaking about grief as well yesterday, though, and you know how you're doing a course. I think it's this week about the grief process during a pandemic as well.
Tomorrow, I'm doing it with Cruise Bereavement Counselling. So I'm doing a course tomorrow afternoon on really how grief impacts you differently when you lose somebody through a pandemic, and learning new skills to help the people through that as well. So that'll be really interesting.
I know for me, I have to say, we were speaking about this yesterday, and for me, you know, we lost my absolute darling of a granny during the pandemic. She passed away September, and it's just been so difficult, I think, because you don't have the same process.
Yeah.
You know, you would have a wake and there'd be everybody at the funeral, and you know, there was 15 of us at the funeral. There was no wake. It all felt really cold, dismissive.
Yeah.
So
I lost somebody that was very dear to me as well, and I found it very difficult not to have that opportunity to go back with family and share memories and thoughts and experiences, because really that's an outpouring of love, and you didn't have that opportunity. So I think that is definitely something that makes it harder for people.
yeah,
So I get that.
it's fascinating, isn't it, how this pandemic is changing people's thinking and feeling, and yeah. So I don't want to end on funerals and all of that kind of stuff. Going back to those 3 top tips that you were speaking about at the very beginning. So can we just go over those 3 top tips again? So 3 things that we could do in the next 5 days that will really help us to regulate stress. You know, when we're working and our children walk in the room and say, "I'm meant to be on Teams," or you know, when things go wrong like that.
Well, as I say, be your own number one. Remember to say no. Nothing says you have to do everything or anything. Do what's right for you. And don't compare yourself to others. Self-regulation, get flopping like a wet noodle, doing your breathing, and just introduce it as part of your life, so you're constantly doing it throughout your day. Remember, you're always dialing that stress down every time you do it. And you know what? If you need help, if you feel overstressed, speak up. Speak up, and you'll find out other people are feeling exactly the same. And the minute you feel that other people are the same, you stop blaming yourself and feeling bad. And that relieves the stress as well.
Amazing. And to finish us off, Susan, we were speaking about the vagus nerve as well before we ended on our last Man Surgeries. I think that would be quite a good thing to talk about on Friday. I don't know how you feel about that as well. The vagus nerve is the wandering nerve in the body.
Certainly is.
Way of activating that is singing. So Susan's going to sing for you all.
Not a hope in hell.
But we can talk about that on Friday. I think that's quite a good.
That's a good one. And it's, do you know what? Knowing and understanding the difference that makes to your mind and body and moods and everything, and how you can actually make the changes is brilliant. Really good.
And I've got your stimulator here with me as well, so I can actually show people in real time. Which is great. So before we finish, guys, everybody who's watching just now, can I ask you all just to pop a wee comment up or show Susan some love? Just
show me love.
Show her some love, because you know Susan, she's given her time freely to us to help as many people as we can possibly help through this rubbish time that we're going through right now. So fire your comments up there and we can show Susan before we go. Tomorrow, just so everybody's aware, tomorrow our special guest is someone who has very recently just featured in the Daily Record. A friend of mine, his name is Kenny, and he is known as the Group X guy, and he is a fitness coach who has been dubbed as the Scottish Joe Wicks. So we're going to have Kenny on tomorrow. Kenny is a lovely guy. He's absolutely bursting with energy, and he's going to help you guys with tips on how to get started with fitness and exercise. And Susan, you'll know that fitness and exercise, you know, it can really help with your whole mental well-being, your emotional well-being. So we're going to have Kenny on tomorrow. He's got good banter. He's from Glasgow, got good banter, thinks that we all talk funny in the East as well. So we'll see where we go with that. But we've got Kenny on tomorrow, so absolutely fantastic. We've got some comments here. Claire has shown you some love. We have Midge, some great advice. Thank you. What's the time of the session on Friday? It's 9:30, Midge. So you'll be able to jump on at 9:30. Debbie saying, thank you, Susan and Stephen. Love listening this morning. Diane, thank you, Susan. This has been exactly what I needed to learn about today. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you, Diane. How nice is that? And then Diane Dewar, many thanks to you both.
Thank you very much.
So, folks, that is us for another day. And yeah, bye for now. Bye, Susan.
Bye.